First of all, thank you very much for inviting us to this conference. We are very happy to be here and very honored to be here, and we are looking forward to learning from you how you are working in Living Labs. And so far, the previous presentations were really interesting, and I already learned a lot. What we will do together is to present you a really specific case of how we have a Living Lab in our University of Applied Science, in which we will show how it works from the educational side and also from the research side. So my name is Franka Bakker, and I am responsible for the research part of this specific Living Lab I will show. And Lars, he has been working in this Living Lab as a student, and now is also the project leader of making a connection with the Living Lab Smart Aging together with Francis University and Konkuk University. First,
yes, thank you. And before we continue, it is not working correctly. I want to tell you a personal story about myself, about my own experiences in Living Lab, because as Franka already mentioned, I graduated last year from the Applied Gerontology department, and in our department we have a Living Lab, which is embedded in our curriculum. So our second year is a total Living Lab, so all students participate in a Living Lab for the duration of the year. And 4 years ago I participated in the Living Lab together with, you can't see the picture anymore, but Mrs. Lagerwijk, who is a senior resident of the city of Zwolle, and a co-worker, Renske Leijstra. And we worked together on the creation of an innovation that could contribute to a more age-friendly Zwolle. And what we did was, in the first phase of the Living Lab, we had many discussions and talks about what the meaning is of living the good life in Zwolle. What would make her life good, what was valuable in her environment, in her community. So we formulated the definition, and in the second phase, we translated that definition into an innovation that contributed to that definition. This may sound a bit vague, so we made a short movie about what we did together, and I would like to show you that first.
Mijn naam is Lars Hopman, tweedejaars student toegepaste gerontologie aan Hogeschool in Zwolle. En dit is mevrouw Lagerwijk.
Ik woon achter de Hoge in een aanhangwoning en daar drinken we elke week samen koffie. En daar kwamen een paar studenten naar me toe. Wil jij ons ouder maatje worden? Ik zei ja, graag.
Wij kwamen dus bij die koffieochtend om een oudermaatje te zoeken voor het project Living Lab. En wat hebben wij nou in de Living Lab gedaan? Wij hebben verschillende opdrachten voor de opleiding uitgevoerd, samen in co-creatie met mevrouw Lagerwijk.
Het thema wat deze studenten opgedragen kregen was om te vragen aan hun maatje: hoe voel je je als oudere in de wijk waar je woont? Ik had me daar nooit in verdiept. Dat niet alleen, we gingen er ook op uit. We gingen naar een paar winkels en hier in dit mooie park.
Een van de opdrachten die wij hebben uitgevoerd binnen het Living Lab is dat wij samen een beleidsplan hebben geschreven voor de gemeente Zwolle over het goede leven voor alle ouderen in Zwolle. Je sluit het Living Lab af door samen met je oudere maatje een product te gaan ontwerpen. En wij hebben een product ontworpen wat aansloot bij het beleidsplan. En dat ging over dat mevrouw Lagerwijk en andere ouderen in Zwolle het zo fijn vinden om veel sociale contacten te hebben en met mensen in gesprek te gaan, herinneringen op te halen. En daarom hebben wij samen een spel bedacht en ontwikkeld om dat te stimuleren en om mensen in gesprek met elkaar te brengen.
Het heeft me erg goed gedaan. Je wordt weer eens betrokken bij allerlei andere dingen dan gewoonlijk. Goede moed hebben ervan.
Door leuke activiteiten te doen zoals lunchafspraakjes, fietstochten of gewoon even bij de koffie, kom je samen tot hele nieuwe ideeën. En dat is een hele mooie aanvulling op onze opleiding.
Het verruimt je blik. Ja, dat moet jij zeggen.
Yes, so that's a short overview about what we've done in my second year of my bachelor's program. To give you a bit more information about what applied gerontology means, it means that I am educated as an age-friendly designer. So I am developing, designing products that can contribute to a better quality of life for older adults, together with older adults. So we are working together in co-creation, as you can call it. And co-creation means that I'm not only asking older adults what their needs are, what their wishes are, or that I ask for feedback, but I really include them in the whole process. So we are just in a team working on the same innovation. They are like co-owners, the same as well what I am of the innovation. So we are working in all the phases of the process together. That's what co-creation means for me and for Mrs. Lagerwijk and other students in our program. And we concluded the Living Lab, as I mentioned, with a game, because it was not only a really valuable experience for me throughout the year, but we really finished the Living Lab with an innovation that was ready to be sold on the market. And two other colleagues of mine started their own company and really put the game into the market and tried to sell it in the Dutch shops and everything. So that's a really nice benefit of the Living Lab for us as a student, for us as young professionals, that we already in our bachelor program have an innovation that we can start entrepreneur with. To conclude my talk before I invite Franka over here is I want to tell you something about the outcomes of participating in the Living Lab. And for me, it really showed the importance of co-creation. It really showed how valuable it is to work with your end users in all phases of the process, that you really find out what their needs are, what their wishes are, and why it's so important to work on this innovation and try to sell it to more people in the end. I finished the Living Lab with a consumer-based innovation, and I also started to already create a network of all kinds of interested stakeholders that I can use in my further career. For Mrs. Lagerwijk, it really gave her the feeling of being included again. She was 88 at the time of the Living Lab, and she had the feeling that she was she couldn't contribute that much anymore to society. And by participating in the Living Lab, she had her voice back to say something about what she wants and what she wishes for the city. So she felt that she was being heard. And she also had an increased network of social contact, because we did it with lots of older adults, so she had more contacts than earlier. And it gave her a broader vision on her community. That it's not only negative, but she saw how positive, or she really saw the valuable aspects of her community that she was, or still is, living in the Netherlands. And the story continued, because I'm now standing 8,000 kilometers from Zwolle in Seoul, because after these experiences in the Dutch Living Lab, I sort of fell in love with the vision of Living Labs, and that was the moment when I came to Korea 2 years ago with the trade mission, or with the Startup Delta. And then we started also to work on a Korean version of the Living Lab, the Living Lab Smart Aging. And you can see me here doing my research, my thesis research last year. And we are working together with Voltage University still, with the Konkuk University, and we are now at the phase of trying also to implement research in the Living Lab. And to talk about research, I really would like to invite Franka here to tell something about that.
Thank you, Lars. I think the presentation Lars gave gives a really good overview of how we integrate Living Labs in our educational system. So, Winnesheim is a university of applied sciences, and we used to work in the quadruple helix. So it's really important that we have a real strong collaboration between citizens, between research, educational programs, and businesses and governments. And what's really important is that, so what we all do is that we learn from each other, and that we what we do, that it will make a success if we have the collaboration together. So at Windesheim we have different departments like movement, law, ICT, and also health and well-being, and I'm working in the Department of Health and Well-being. And within that department there are 4 or 5 educational programs, and there are also 4 research departments. Every research department has a few research programs. And one of those research programs is Gold Lab, Co-Innovating for Aging Well. And I'm responsible for making that research program a success. And every research group has a strong collaboration with one of the educational programs within our department. And so my relation is really close with the educational program of applied gerontology. And the collaboration, is, for example, in that I, from the research perspective, investigate what is important to make Living Labs a success and what the benefits are from the perspectives of the different stakeholders. So in applied gerontology and my research program Gold Lab, we work from a holistic view of aging well. So that was the theme of the Living Lab blogs told about, aging well. And we do that always with older adults. And we also do it in innovation work learning environments or Living Labs or name you want to give on it. And we facilitate co-research and co-creation of innovations concerning age-friendly services, products, policies, or environments. So, 2 main issues are important. That's the aging well perspective and also the Living Lab perspective. Well, from the aging well perspective, our students get a lot of theories about the different aspects of aging. Psychological aspects, biological, social aspects, philosophical aspects in aging in place. But then they have to translate it in a general perspective of aging well, and that sometimes can be hard. So what I did is I looked from the literature and also from all the conversations our students have with the older adults. What are the important aspects for aging well? And I integrated it into one framework. And it's this framework, in which you can see that we say having a good life, you can approach it from the individual perspective. It's on the left side, the red bullets. We say people feel that they have a good life if they have their own life, if they have a purposeful living, if they have a good living with others, and they are living healthy. But individuals also live in a certain context, so also the environment is important for a good life. So that's on the right side, green. So people need to have a good place to live. Also the cultural context in which they live determines how they age well. And so is the people to live with and the political and public context to live in. And then there's an interaction between the individual and the environment, and that results in the middle yellow bricks. So people experience a good life if they have feelings of social safety, social participation, social relationships and support, and social inclusion. And then there are some basic resources that are important to be able to have a good life, that are a part of the individual and the environment, and also of the interaction between them. So this is one result of the research I did in collaboration with the educational program. And students can use this when we have conversations with students and see where there are chances for innovations to make. So that, and as a researcher, I do not only work together with the applied gerontology program, but also with nursing and social work, and also with other partners in practice, like social welfare organization and companies. So I can also use the model when I have projects with them. So when I do some projects in practice, then I always look from the perspective, who are the stakeholders that need to be involved in this project, so that we have different perspectives and that we learn from each other, and that we have a common ground to work on, so that we make sustainable improvements. So I always look from education, which students can be included, which organizations have to be involved, like public organizations, but also the businesses, which government departments have to be involved, how can we add our knowledge from research perspective, and of course in the middle we want to improve a good life for all the adults, so how can we include them in what we do. So there are many projects in which we have those approaches from Living Lab and the holistic view of aging well. So one is of the applied gerontology program, but it can also be in new living concepts in which we will measure the impact of what it does to a good life and living in other settings. But also we have projects in which we co-create together with informal caregivers of people with dementia from a Turkish background, that together we set the goals and improve the care services being provided. So, but to focus again on the example of Lars showed, what could be the benefits of working in such a setting? So we asked older adults, students, and community professionals who were involved in that specific living lab, what were the benefits for them to participate in the living lab. And for all stakeholders, they say, well, the social context and network really expanded for us. We really made contact with each other. Another one for older adults and students was that they had really experienced a mutual learning processes and personal development, and in addition also for students, professional development. So older adults said, well, we feel useful again because we can make use of our experience and wisdom. They also learned themselves, they get more confident, and they gained more intergenerational awareness. And that was the same for students. Intergenerational awareness increased, they had more respect for the diversity among older adults, and they became more mature during the year of working in a living lab. And for community professional, it provided a lot of information about how the situation of elderly living in a specific community was, and they also gained a lot of ideas for new projects to improve their services and products. We also look at, well, how can we improve the success of our living labs? And then there were some themes that arise that we need to pay attention to, and that's how we communicate between all the partners. We should be clear about who has which role and responsibilities, to what extent are every stakeholder involved in the living lab. We have to pay attention to the processes, the quality of the research done by students, and also how can we make sure that this will be sustainable in the future. So that was an example of how we collaborate in research and education in living labs. And for the future, we will continue with developing the framework, also continuing with the research of what the benefits and aids are, and we also develop more consortia to expand the way of working in our living lab, and to share knowledge. And one of the examples is what we do with Concrete University, as mentioned before. But we are also very open to making a broader platform, so we are very happy to be here and see what possibilities are. Thank you very much.